The number one priority for the Philadelphia Eagles is always to protect Carson Wentz. And with the injury to Brandon Brooks, I just gotta wonder, how much of a priority is it going to be? How far are the Eagles willing to go to have Carson Wentz's back? Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. So today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big ass dog. Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody, two-way King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great mother hump day. Hope you guys are doing well. You know, I'm having kind of a little bit of a good time with this green screen, learning how to use it and things like that. I want to be able to incorporate it into some of my videos. Not every video, but some of them. And so I've been fooling around with it, you know, and actually, to be honest with you, I'm a dingbat. I keep making mistakes. Like, for example, this is the second time I'm filming this video, okay? This is the second time because I did it once before. I went to go edit it, thought it came out great. And as I'm editing it, I realize I'm invisible. I can't be seen. Only my ugly face is there. It's like a floating head. You know what I mean? I might have to release it on my unreleased video footages on my channel memberships because I'm just this head talking. There's no body because I was wearing a Deshaun Jackson jersey. I had green on, and you can't have green with a green screen because it goes right through you. I was invisible. So that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to figure out how to use and stuff like that. But however, once we get into the football season and live streams, man, I got some big plans for it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Now, speaking of plans, speaking of this upcoming football season, the Eagles got a big problem. The Eagles got a big problem as far as I'm concerned because that Brandon Brooks injury is brutal. It is brutal. And yesterday I did a video talking about different names of guys that the Eagles possibly could go ahead and replace Brooks with. And then today a new name has emerged. Now, this is a big name. This comes from Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback. And I got to tell you, I don't see this happening. I want to say it right out front because I know guys like Bad Dog who work for NASA could be like, you think you're getting everybody. You think you're getting everybody. I don't think you're getting him. But I want to talk about this because the report has been put out there and people have already come to me saying the Eagles are pursuing Joe Thuney. Now, Joe Thuney is a great player. He's also a franchise tag, so I believe he's going to make over $14 million this year. And there's a possibility that he was tagged so that the Patriots could trade him later. The Eagles need a guard. There's no question about it. And Albert Breer was basically saying, that he could see the Eagles be in a situation where they come into camp and Matt Pryor, he gets first crack at it, Driscoll or whoever they're going to, try to give that position to in-house. The Eagles be in a situation where they're not happy with any of those guys, and then they go and they look to get a guy like a Joe Thuney. Now, Joe Thuney's 27 years old, great guard, one of the best in the game, no question about it. And if the Eagles were able to get him, it would be huge. It would be huge for the Eagles. But you'd have to get him, bring him in. You'd have to then sign him long term, and then basically have no hit next year. You could afford his salary this year, but I don't know how you afford it next year because the Eagles are like $50 million over the cap. I don't see this is a possibility. I'm bringing this up and I'm doing this video because a lot of people were talking to me about, hey, we're pursuing him. I don't think we're pursuing him. I think he was saying that it's a possibility the Eagles could inquire about him. But to think that you're going to get Joe Thuney, I think it's really, really hard to do. I don't see a situation or a scenario where the Eagles end up with him. I think the best case scenario for the Eagles, how about maybe not the best case, but I'm going to say the most reasonable, the most likely case for the Eagles is that they're going to give somebody the job in-house. I'm guessing Matt Pryor's the guy that they're going to trust to come in and play. There's also talk about bringing Jason Peters back. There's some interesting sayings, articles saying that Jason Peters would be open to moving into the guard spot. So you could see a situation like that. But to think that Joe Thuney could possibly come to Philly, I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't want him. Of course, Of course, it would be a huge upgrade. Of course, I would want him. But I just don't know the Eagles could afford it. I do think that the Eagles really need to make sure that they protect Carson Wentz. You cannot afford to have him get hurt. He does not need to take the punishment that he's taken over the years. You have to shore up that offensive line, and you have to do it before camp starts, in my opinion. I mean, if they're really sure that Matt Pryor's the guy, fine. All right, I'm good with it. But if you're not sure, and you could go out and get like a Warford or somebody like that, do it. Do it. Just do not mess around with the offensive line position. Do not mess around with it and risk not having somebody. I think we had this problem back in, was it 2012? Jason Peters tears his ACL in camp. The Eagles never went out and really replaced him or brought somebody in to take his spot for that year, and we suffered all year. I think we got to learn from our mistakes and make sure that we shore it up. But I do think the Eagles are going in-house first. I think it's going to be Driscoll or Pryor. I'm leaning towards Pryor getting the job. And I think Pryor has some talent. I don't think he's complete trash. I think he could come in and be very good. Who knows? He deserves the opportunity. However, an insurance plan is not always a bad thing. We saw last year with Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson, he goes out and you had nobody to replace him. You had no insurance plan. Don't make the same mistake with Brandon Brooks. That's all I'm saying. And Joe Thuney and this rumor about him possibly coming to the Eagles, or the Eagles inquiring about him, the Eagles may inquire about him. But I can't see any scenario in which the Eagles are going to pay him the kind of money that he's going to get just for being franchised. It's over $14 million for a guard, okay? And not only that, then what in compensation is New England going to want? Like a second-round pick, something like that? It's a lot. So I don't see that happening. I think Matt Pryor is the most likely guy to get this spot. And look, I'm not totally against it. I'm not worried that he can't be good. I think he has talent, and I think the Eagles could bring it out in him. However, I think if you want to play it safe, make sure you have an insurance policy in case Pryor doesn't work out. I don't think that would be a bad idea to bring somebody else in the meantime. But we're going to see what the Eagles do. As far as Joe Thuney is concerned, like I said, I really don't see it happening. But hey, you know what? You never know. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think the Eagles would actually go and try to trade for him as Breer suggested? I don't see it happening, but you never know. And obviously, if it happened, I wouldn't mind. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.